Hi, I'm James Leckey, and you're listening to Best of Belfast.
James Leckey, thank you very much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Cool, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's nice to be here.
I really love the quote that you sent through.
Okay.
That's where I'd like to start. Now, we don't have to start here if we don't need to.
No problem.
But the quote is, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah, I'm going to attribute that to my dad, but I'm sure he got it from somewhere, but I don't know where. It's followed me around in work really, really nicely. And the essence of what that is, and I'll go on a bit when I talk about what we do, but the more we do what's right for our customers, the better off we are. So if I'm talking to therapists and talking to clinicians in our industry, and even some of the trade partners, I'll say to them that quote, and I'll explain what it means is the more we do that's right with the kids, the better commercial we are, the more we grow, the more successful we are. But that's really what it is. It's all about that. So the harder I work in that direction, the luckier we get.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like, what role do you think luck has played in your own entrepreneurial journey, for lack of a better term?
Oh, good grief. I've been very, very fortunate in my life. Very fortunate to come across this opportunity to work with the people I do and work with the kids and so on. And, to give a bit of background, I'm not well formally educated. I went through Methody, but I bummed out at after O levels. Anybody who knows me will know that I wasn't academic, and enjoyed school, enjoyed the people I was with, but it was time to go after O levels. And I went out and really wasn't really clear. I was quite lost, wasn't sure what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, and really probably didn't value hard work. Didn't get a sense of value to hard work. But I did like tinkering with engines. Anything that smelled of oil or petrol. I loved motorbikes, cars, all that sort of stuff, engines. So I went through a few places. I did some civil engineering, didn't enjoy that. Did some mechanical engineering and sort of began to like that. Did an apprenticeship up in James Mackey's and stood at a bench and filed metal for months. It was a fantastic experience. And got to meet a lot of really good people up there. And then became ambitious again, which was good. I got a taste for education and learning and so on through engineering. I went to my OND and followed that with HND, and I got up into the design office and did some formal engineering there, which was nice. In design engineering, learned, but it was back then it was pencil and paper. It was on the drawing board, CAD skills, and that really sort of helped me later on in my career. Left that and kind of lost my way from about 21 to about 22, 23. And around that time, kind of was a bit directionless. And my father grabbed me and says, "You're coming into the family business to work. You're not bumming around anymore." And I didn't want to, and I told him I wasn't going to do it, but he brought me in. And and it's floristry, family business, Leckey and Golden Florists. We're in the centre of Belfast. And I was familiar with the business. We'd grown up with that.
Sure.
We'd been... making wedding bouquets since the age of 5. we knew exactly what we had to do. But I found I loved it. And what I loved most was hard work and satisfying customers. Just keeping customers. That was really, really... There must have been a moment or a positive experience within that. I used to put on the window displays and people used to come along and give the thumbs up and stuff. And I think it was just being valued. And having lost your way, being appreciated and valued again is really, really important motivation. And I found... Through that, I found hard work was very satisfying, and that I still now find it hard to relax. I still now find it that satisfaction comes from a hard day's work. A real achievement, that sort of thing.
Where was the shop?
It was on Royal Avenue.
Oh wow!
I'm right in the middle of the Troubles,
Incredible.
and there was all sorts of stuff. Getting searched in the way in and searched, all that sort of stuff. But very, very busy, extremely busy. I mean, there was many nights, overnights worked, and so on, particularly around Christmas and Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, the busy periods. But great. It was a family thing, so it was a strong family unit there and so on. Yeah, I had 2 brothers in as well doing it. But I managed to extract myself from that.
Okay.
There was an opportunity come up. I was running a marathon and doing a parachute jump.
Very casually, just throw it out there. Congrats.
There's a longer story there. Actually, the shoot didn't open initially, but anyway, we were it was with a bunch of guys, a friend of us. We were just training for a marathon, and we decided we'll might as well get some money, put in a charity when we're doing this. And we said, what will we do? And we ran along the embankment as part of the run. and we were passing MenCap, so we selected that one. If the conversation had occurred 15 seconds later, it was an action cancer, but it was MenCap. So I gathered up some money and I took it in, and I saw the kids, and I just straight away knew I want to be involved in this. This is something I want to do. And they were buying equipment that I knew that I could make. I developed a workshop. I had it at home. I'd created a few products while working in the floristry side.
Nice.
I developed a thing called a transporter board to hold pedestal arrangements safe when they're being transported. So I had a workshop.
So you were problem solving for the flower business at that stage?
Oh, long before that.
Wow.
Yes, long before that. Now, I think once I got into design when I was about 20, 21, I just stayed in that. I tinkered and designed things. So that capability was there. And certainly the desire was there. So I just started making these small seating systems and standing frames for the kids. And it, for the first year, I actually found myself in the first year doing anything any of the therapists asked me to do. And I did find myself glazing properties and doing plumbing and all sorts of stuff, put my hand to everything. But ultimately I had to define what it was, and it was making the equipment for kids with special needs. So I developed a small range of seating systems and went out and promoted that for 2 or 3 years in Northern Ireland. And it kind of grew. It was okay. Great therapists, great people to work for, and great, lovely sort of environment to work with the kids and the carers and the parents and so on. And then I had a couple of employees at that stage.
Okay.
And we moved into new premises in Dunmurry. These were vast. This was 10,000 square feet of space. It was an old case factory place up in Kilwee. Perfect for what I needed. And we thought we'd never fill it, but within about 6 months, the place was full and we had more staff. And it was going really, really well in terms of developing the business. But sales in Northern Ireland weren't enough, and we couldn't afford to pay the rent. So it was either pack it in or go down and do an exhibition. Yeah. And back then, there was no Tinterweb, there was no internet to find out where to go. So I got on and found there was an exhibition coming up. Lucky about a month ahead, and they had one cancellation for one stand. Yeah, it was bizarre.
Brilliant.
In a wee annex tent outside the Alexander Pavilion in London. So packed up a van, all the stuff. And about 2 weeks before, we didn't have a full range of products. So we had to get stuck in and get them done. And we produced a range of standing frames as well. And we went across, filled the stand, and it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Great response to our products. And I think one of the things that gave us advantage over similar competition in the UK was we had a range of pretty much polished, finished products available to go that hadn't been exposed to the UK market. And they were still largely in development. Around 1983, there was funding became available for the products like ours. And a number of companies opened up around that time. One in Denmark, a couple in the UK, and one in America. And we're now all still good colleagues, good friends, good competitors, but we find ourselves getting a big step in the UK market. I say we, there was probably 5 of them. But,
the we is a strong thing to say, isn't it? Vision casting.
So it just took off, and we took on. I travelled around the UK for a couple of years. I remember parking a van at Birmingham Airport with equipment in it. I drove it over there, and then I would fly over, drive the van for a week. Wow. And then park it up in Birmingham Airport and fly back and make the stuff, and then fly back over. And every other week I was across there selling and back. And it was brilliant fun. I did enjoy it a lot. And sometimes my brother would come across with me and would go and do stuff. So it was good fun. Hard work. But during that time I picked up some distributors, and one in particular was Prior and Hard, and a guy called Paul Whitehouse in the south of England. And he just loved it. Wow. And he put his shoulders into it, and he took on a territory and began to sell it very, very well. And then I employed him directly. And it was a fabulous experience. Great guy, working very hard. And our business just began to grow. And we're talking now way, way back in the I started in 1983. So we're now about 87, 88. Wow. And we're growing. And by 1990, we were UK market leader. And it was fantastic fun.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was. It was great. Cool. Still in Kilwee. Still working away, but we needed another factory, so the factory next door just became available. Aye. And we just took it over.
How lucky is that?
I know. The harder I work. So we grew and expanded into that, and it just continued to grow. And it really was. There was those years were really, really. I look back, they were hard work, but really.
It sounds explosive.
Well, yeah, but it was fun years as well, and you make it up as you go along. You know the feeling?
Yeah.
Nobody's telling you how this is going to work out. So So we're just struggling, and you're reading books, and you're going to the courses, and you listen to people telling you what leadership is, and what organizations are, what culture is, and all that stuff. And you're trying to pick things up. And to some degree, it's very hard to be yourself and not try and be what these books are telling you to be. So it's and maybe that's maturity now allows me to get back on track with who I am, because you do tend to get lost at times and get into other routines. But
so, I mean, I'm actually going to just push the brakes right here.
Sure.
Because there's so much in what you've already said that I think is really interesting to unpack. Just topically on that last sentence there, what do you feel like you lost in maybe some years in your life? You mentioned it's very easy to lose yourself. What parts of yourself do you feel like got lost along the way of this intense journey?
There's overlapping circles there.
Okay.
And you're kind of in the middle of it, and you wander into them, or you get drawn into them. By ego, by need, by cause, by altruistic reasons or whatever, and it's through that you can get away from center. Certainly, I remember in the early days getting drawn into ego-driven ones, going, you could be a great leader, you could be this, you could be that, mentor, and getting pulled into circles that weren't adding value to my business, or probably weren't adding value to me. I was serving others, but my ego was getting served in the process. Yeah, you go in there. And either that works for you, it doesn't. A lot of consultants must spend a lot of their time in there. Also working in the industry we were in, altruism is a very, very strong draw. The goodwill factor from working with kids with special needs is quite incredible. So being able to do good and be and have the opportunity to be part of that, I mean, I would strongly say that I've got more to the business than I've given to it. So over the years, it's been really, really good to go in and be in that and enjoy that their goodwill factor and work with fantastic people in that area. So that's another. It takes you away from center.
Yeah,
you're in, enjoying and sharing yourself and all this other stuff, but it's maybe not who you are at the core. So there's different areas you go into.
Yeah. So what is your center? That's the question, isn't it?
To describe orange. Who am I? I think my values come out in the business, and I think they're I would spend a lot of time focusing on making sure that the culture we have in work and the values that sort of portray that, and the guiding principles. I would distinguish values and guiding principles separately. Make sure that I'm really comfortable with those. So I make sure those are really clear, and they come from my parents and other influencers and so on. So be your best. And find a better way would be two values we would have in work, that you should always put your best foot forward and do your best job. I would never satisfy me to do something less that wasn't my best.
Yeah.
And finding a better way, is that just an innovative piece, is just pushing that.
Yeah.
Certainly, open, honest, and trustworthy would be massive.
Yeah.
I think that trust is a fundamental for any relationship or any teamwork, anything at all, really. And so integrity and foundation, and particularly in the industry we're in, where trust would be phenomenal and very, very important. I've always advocated that and very strong around that. And I think there's a caring side. Yeah, there has to be a compassionate, caring side within business. That if you have to deliver even difficult information to people, you have to deliver with compassion. So and be understanding of where they are in that process, I suppose. Yeah. So those are the values. And those are interpersonal, and I would say those are my values. There are others, responsibility, accountability, but within those four core, the other ones that they would tend to be the main ones.
Cool. You have this really interesting thing in some of the stuff you sent through, and maybe even on your website as well.
Sure.
So you had mission,
yes,
you had vision,
yeah,
and then you had this something I'd never seen before, and I was excited to see your thoughts on it. Courageous goal.
Okay.
Talk to me about that.
I have to fess up, I read it in the book.
Hey! Integrity. Look at you, exercising your core values.
I'm probably creative, a bit loose, and that's all nice semantic for unstructured, disorganized. So I like structure in work. I like to have processes that are really well defined. That helps me adhere to them. Whether I always adhere to them is another thing. If I have the discipline, but I expect others to do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, creativity without sort of control or processes is chaos. It doesn't go anywhere. It's very hard to monetize it or to get it actually to work. So in terms of that, I came across about 5 years ago. I was looking for a new process. The business was going through quite a lot of change, or needed to go through quite a lot of change, and we'd kind of stagnated. We'd got to a ceiling in terms of revenues, and we weren't coming up with new ideas and weren't doing new things. And what do? You go on a course, bang, you meet other people and come back with 23 new ideas, and we'll do them all. So I come across this book called Traction. And it's an entrepreneurial operating system, and it's now an American thing, and it's moving and so on. It's getting quite big. But I'd looked at other systems that were different from just the conventional business management systems. Holacracy, very interesting, runs quite big in the Netherlands and so on, other parts of Europe. I came across it in Switzerland at a business school I was at, but not for me. The first thing in Holacracy you have to do, the chief executive has to cede authority across to the people working in the organisation. Yeah. I'm too big an autocrat. I'm not going to do that. That's not going to work. So I read Traction, and what I got from that was the structure. And it had helped not just pull together a system, a way of working within the business. And I do strenuously, I would promote people reading that book. I'd also say keep it vanilla. Don't change it. Don't try and make it suit you. Work with it. It will work for you. And the process is there, as many business processes will do. Get a clear vision. Get a clear mission. So, who are you? And describe that. Where are you going? Where's your vision? Where do you want to get to? And then in terms of time frames, that mission is probably a continuum. That vision is probably somewhere out there. But give yourself a big courageous goal, a big hairy, a big high. Give yourself one out there. And for us, when we thought about that, we thought that was a really good idea. So the senior team pulled together. I took the lead, and we got involved in going through that. And they also looked at values. I add in guiding principles, and I'll explain that. So our mission is to improve the quality of life of kids with special needs. Period. That's it. That's all we want to do. That is what we want to do. It's a big goal. But everything we do is based around that objective, improving the quality of life of children with special needs globally. Secondly, we have a vision, and that's a world where each child is included and can access their full potential. And those words are crafted very carefully. In terms of each child's included, that's a social integration issue, and we have processes and parts of the business structured towards really driving that agenda and working around that, and involving new stakeholders like parents and therapists and working together closer. Access their full potential. Access would be probably more a mobility situation, whether that's seated or upright mobility, and then their full potential. And that's really where their choice comes in. They can access it. Whether they choose to go for that or not is entirely up to them. And we've experienced working with kids, putting them in walkers and sending them down corridors and stuff, and they've just said, take me out of this. I don't want to look like this. That's not doing my self-esteem any good. Don't do that. Yeah. So very clear on allowing the kids and creating a pathway for them and allowing them to walk, to go down that pathway that they choose to go down. So, and work with obviously, we're not the leaders in that process. We're working with the therapists and the clinicians and so on, because they're absolutely, and the parents, the lead in that. So that's the mission and vision. And the courageous goal that we took on, and we have a great research team headed up by Dr. Laura Finney, Sheila McNeil. We've got some great people in our clinical team. And then we have a team of 24 design engineers who support them and work through the processes of developing products based on those clinical research. So we got the team together, and we decided that the biggest goal that we'd come up with was to prevent hip migration in kids with special needs. Okay, and that's a big, massive global issue.
And very specific.
Well, it is. I think any goal has to be smart. It has to be specific and measurable and all those things, and time-based and so on. So that goal gave us clarity in terms of direction. We had pretty clear direction. The mission and vision was pretty clear. But it really, we would have had 23 projects undergo at that one time, and all of a sudden 15, they weren't relevant. They were going to improve the quality of the kids' special needs, but they weren't focused core to that there. It's a bit funny coming from the dark side. I know there's a commercial side telling the clinical side what our goals are, but like being clinical goals, and not, because most companies, if you go underneath it, they're going to say, we want to make more money, we want to make these amount of revenues and this amount of profit. Genuinely, the harder I work, the luckier I get. So the more energy you put into preventing hip migration, the more we'll put a man on the moon, that sort of stuff. So we set about coming up with this goal, and the hip migration one seemed really loud and clear when we researched it. Kids, when they're born, if they have special needs, they are born quite normal, quite regular in terms of physical being, and it's through the lack of, we believe, our hypothesis is that through the lack of normal or parallel experiences, weight bearing, movement, and so on, their hips don't develop in the same manner as regular kids.
So they're not using it.
So they don't get that activity, they don't get that weight bearing, they don't get, gravity doesn't play its role, abnormal muscle tone or non-normal muscle tone doesn't play its normal role. Therefore, you don't get the head of femur based into the acetabulum, you don't get that socket, that good adhesion there, and they'll migrate, they'll dislocate. And we work with a great professional down in Melbourne. He's from Belfast, Kerr Green, and his research indicates that 90% of what's called the gross motor function classification scale 5 kids, 90% of them will migrate. Now, once that happens, their quality of life changes immediately. Their experience in pain and the experience of additional care they require and everything else just changes. We could not have a mission that says we'll improve the quality of life and ignore hip migration as a core part of that. So, and the population we work with, that's a really important piece. So that's our courageous goal. And we need to work with the clinic community and come up with products. But it's really defined the direction of research, the direction of product development and everything within the business now. So, and we've just launched new products that are really, really clearly defined to do that one role. And we've been very fortunate in some of the other parts of the business to have products that do that as well, just by luck, really, by luck.
That direction is powerful.
Yes.
Really focuses you.
Very, very motivational.
Really?
Yeah.
Because at the start, well, what I want to find out is, so you're working in the flower shop.
Yes.
How did you go about trying to figure out what problems to solve in these kids' lives? Because, for example, I'm really interested in different people's perspectives. So I walk into a room filled with a group of kids who have disabilities, playing, whatever it might be, and I'm drawn to human interaction. That's what I'm interested in. Okay. You're going in with a designer head and designer eye and a real problem solving. What did you see in those early days? Let me ask you this. Okay. Here's the actual
nutshell.
Straight to the okay. What was the industry missing before you showed up?
When I first saw it, they were bringing in wooden products from America.
Okay.
And in the US, they were good products, they were well made, and they were satisfying the need. We tended to move away from the MenCap need.
Okay.
MenCap was for kids with cognitive challenges. We tend to work now predominantly with kids with physical challenges, and that could be caused by cognition of some cause. But the products that were back then were a bit simplistic. They weren't providing the needs of the more complex kids. So when we really get into the industry, we worked with the therapists and really just work with them. What is it you need? We can make it. You tell us what you're trying to achieve with that. So really just sitting down with them, going through it and working through with the kids in terms of their seating needs or their standing or their walking or bathing, toileting, sleeping, whatever those needs were, and just taking on board and then being out there with the kids and working with the parents as well. There's many areas that are fascinating, and the sleep systems are a core component, and they're not as well funded as they should be. So an awful lot of the physical challenges that the child faces are because they're maybe sleeping in an asymmetric position, and then we have to accommodate that in more complex seating. Whereas if there was a real corrective path for that child, which is easy for me sitting here to say. I'm not quite sure. I mean, the parents might say that they've tried other systems or other ways of doing to get them to symmetric sleeping, and it hasn't worked. So it's not anybody's at fault here. But if the children were provided with more symmetric postures, and or else turned from side to side regularly, then they would, many of the challenges they would face, we believe, wouldn't be as acute.
Okay.
However, they are in the conditions they are, and abnormal tone and gravity when seated and upright still has its impact as well. So we produce complex seating systems, complex standing systems, walking frames and so on to accommodate their form and shape and what they're trying to achieve. The activities, one of the principles we apply is no movement, no learning. So if you're static or stationary, you're not learning. You need to move to experience to get, and from that the children will benefit. So there's a lot more dynamic activity in products. And the next phase we're moving into is It's two-way learning. It's gamification. It's working with an interaction. It's all happening now. It's all at the research phase. I can tell you, but I'd have to kill you. So.
Let me ask you this. This is probably a very difficult question. What product have you guys developed that pound for pound makes the biggest impact on quality of life? That's tricky. I know that's tricky.
I think the product that gave us the greatest pound for pound. I'll step back. We've two businesses predominantly, one called Leckey and one called Firefly. Leckey's the parent company, but we manufacture equipment and then we sell it through dealers and distributors across the world. They're complex pieces of equipment, and there's an expensive supply chain there. Mm-hmm. So it's going to a distributor in a country, then to a dealer, and then there's an expensive sales process of traveling for miles and assessing the children and so on. So that gathers cost. So when it gets to the children or to the purchaser, it could be £3,000-4,000 for a seating system. We have an online direct to parent solution, which is different. And these are lower cost, lower assessment products, but can still have big impact on the children's lives from a quality of life perspective. Mm-hmm. And they might be around the £250 to £350 mark. Wow. So in terms of pounds and pence and value, that skews that quite a bit.
Yeah.
We have a product called the Upsy, which is as a small harness that the child wears, and then the parents put on sandals that have small sandals attached to them. The child put their feet in that, and then they're clipped into a waist belt around the parent, and they walk with the parent.
Wow.
So these are kids that can't walk, and all of a sudden walk within a harness. But not just walk as you would around a walking frame. You can go down to the beach. You can go out, so you can experience life that you couldn't do before.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal product, and it's a low-cost product. So I think pound for pound, and the what that can achieve for the kids, and preventing hip migration at an early age and things like that, because it happens at a very early age, that's probably the one for me. It's not, believe it or not, our biggest seller.
Interesting.
We have a smaller seating system through Firefly that helps kids get out to go to restaurants. It's approved by the airlines, Jet2, EasyJet, Canadian Airlines, stuff like that. And it allows parents to take their kids out and go and experience normal life. Mm-hmm. Inclusion, social inclusion, very, very important. So the pound for pound one, the more involved ones, they're different. But they all have a place to play and a role to play within the kids' development.
Cool. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
I'm really interested in the impact that being in Northern Ireland, being from Northern Ireland has on businesses. And specifically what I'd like to ask around that area is, if we were sitting in America right now and we were talking about compassion and business or doing good and making money at the same time, that's an easy conversation. Yeah. Northern Ireland has a very interesting mindset whenever it comes to doing good and making money at the same time. And from my perspective anyway, there seems to be a bit of tension there. We either think, we're going to do good and we're going to do this free of charge, and then we're going to go and do our business where we're going to just make loads and loads of money and we're going to do our thing. How do you tie that together? And what can you say about this piece on compassion in business and problem solving?
I think there's a question there about Northern Ireland. There's a cultural or social question there, and there's also then a question that's personal to me in terms of there can be conflict between making money and doing good, because it's how much you're investing in to do good.
Yeah.
So I think actually Northern Ireland's a great place to do business. I think we're blessed with an awful lot of things. We've got, because of the nature of an island off an island off an island, we have an awful lot of business support here, which is brilliant. Invest Northern Ireland, and an awful lot of them, and both universities provide great support to businesses here. So, and there's Catalyst and other organisations that really help early startup businesses and mature businesses as well grow and develop and grow in the future. So, I think that's a really brilliant platform. We have, by the nature of where we are, we have a lower cost in terms of the cost of labour. We also have lower costs of rent and rate. So it's actually, I don't think we could compete if we were based around London. It would be very, very challenging for us to do the way we do on a global basis. So we've higher transport costs, but it's not much.
Yeah.
So it's actually, and we have really, really well educated and skilled labour here as well and available. So that helps. Brilliant. That helps a lot. So we think that it's been a really good place to start up and have a business. And we've never been frightened of getting on a plane and going. We weren't long after getting on to being the UK market leader that I decided I'm an office in Boston, and away we went. And that was great fun, and we ran that office there for 6 years, and eventually sold it to one of our competitors, and it was great experience. Yeah, great experience. And the US is one of our largest markets now. So I think there is a very entrepreneurial spirit within Northern Ireland. I think there's also a great, social compassion here. I don't know what impact the Troubles and all those things have had on it, but and I think people here are smart. They're very savvy. They understand. So and they're not affected. They haven't had the opportunity to be affected by lots of money and stuff like that maybe around runners have. So maybe a bit less ego. So I think. From a social point of view, I think it's a great place to do business as well. So we've never been held back by that, or never felt that we're not as good as.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, but I think that I meet many people that have exactly the same way I look at it as well. So there's no reason why we couldn't, wouldn't. From an investment point of view, and from whether it's altruistic and doing good, or whether it's taking the money and running, I go back to that quote. The harder I work, the luckier I get. The more we've done good by what's right ethically, emotionally, for the kids, the more success. And I think that's really now the focus of our business is to look purely at not what's funded, but what's right for the kids.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's a will we chase the money or chase what's right for the kids? And it really is chase what's right for the kids, because we'll find the money. We'll get that. We will get it paid for somehow. There's no point in producing a product that's not going to get funded. It'll be stillborn. It'll die on the vine. It'll not make it. But we will get these products funded. There was no online market. We put it out there and it worked. It's great.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And we're now finding other funding sources for people to get these products funded. So that following that path is really, really important. And there have been moments in time where you have choices. Whether to invest in the research or not, and we've always gone for let's do the research, let's follow that path. We come across predominantly competitors in in the US definitely, and some of the other European countries, where the funding is based on, and it's very fortunately not based on that in the UK, but it's based on coding. Therefore, say for instance in America, there'll be a coding structure that certain products are approved because they fit within a coding structure. That coding structure is based on experience of what has been sold for the kids. So if something's sold for the last 10 years for the kids, funding would be provided for that. But what that means is that innovation plays no part.
Right. So it's the same of the same.
Well, if something novel and new comes along, it's not funded. It can't get in.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the UK is a very open market in that regard. I think it's a lot of respect for the clinician that if they think it's the right product, it's the right thing for the child, that they'll find the funding for it. They will have a budget and they'll use that. They're given guidelines. Ceilings required. There are base requirements, but we have found Northern Ireland in particular a great place to research and work with local therapists and schools and so on to help us get work with the kids and try new ideas and things, and that's been very good. I think that's more challenging outside a academic environment in the US. I think in a commercial environment through the network and the dealers and so, that's more challenging. So again, Northern Ireland and the UK a great place to be based.
Yeah,
and the South actually.
Great.
Yeah.
So you're in the flower shop. You're having people walk by giving you the thumbs up. You've got that really strong connection with your customers. Bobby and Sally, well done, James. That's great.
Yeah,
I loved it.
The wind up. Fantastic this week. Yeah.
How have you tried to maintain that really tight relationship with your customers
here
as your business has just expanded?
That is a challenge. There's no doubt about that, because as your business gets bigger and bigger, it's very hard to stay as close to what you would call the coalface, stay out there with the kids. We have a customer awareness program where all the senior staff, directors and senior managers must once a quarter go out and spend 2 days with customers.
Nice.
And it doesn't matter what area they work in the business, they have to go out and do that, because that's what we're about. I don't want them sitting in boardrooms making decisions disconnected from reality or disconnected from what we're about. So that's a really important piece. Me personally, yeah, I have to admit that over the last 5 years, I've been under the bonnet in the business, trying to rebuild. But 10 years ago, I was out spending a lot of time out with customers. There were a few significant decisions that needed to be made, and I need to be involved in that. And there was a wee bit of trauma around that time in the business, making those decisions. We needed new premises, and there was some changes in the senior team. But those changes took time. That took about 5 years to make those changes. But about three years ago, we started to evolve that process, and we now have a new team. With some of the original players there, but it's a new team. Mm-hmm. It's a mixture of new people and some of the more mature staff. And I don't mean personally mature, I mean they've been there longer. But and it's a great team. And I think that's going to allow me to step back from the day-to-day CEO role, and I've just done that. Mm-hmm. I think, 2 weeks ago, I went from CEO to chairman. And I've got this exceptional guy, Ben, who's come in now as CEO, and he's just phenomenal. He's a brain the size of the moon, and he's just absolutely incredible character. And the rest of the senior team are just brilliant. I mean, they're all brilliant people. So I feel very confident stepping back now. And what that allowed me to do is, well, how can I add value to this business? Mm-hmm. And the bits that I haven't been as active in is more ambassadorial. Out communicating, finding out what's going on out there and what we need to be doing as a business, and are we being successful in the way we're doing it? Because I think we are probably in the industry recognised as being the most innovative and trying new things. We've been very successful in the online space where others have really failed. I think our community size is in excess of 150,000 active active community players within the parent space and therapists, and our nearest competitor would be less than 10,000.
Wow.
So we're very, very active in Firefly, really communicating and working closely with the community and developing that. So that's been very positive. So a lot of learning from that. Mm-hmm. A lot of engagement from that, even though from the office. But with that, plus we do go out to exhibitions and do visit parents and so on. I still do get out there. It doesn't sound like I don't do it out there. I was in Germany last month, and we went over and met some of the German Firefly parents and so on, and that was a really good experience. Met the kids. But I need to do more of that to add value to the business. I think what they'll get from me is an external perspective of how well we're doing out there. And there's another generation of new products that haven't been identified yet, and that's probably, I need to stimulate that. The research will give us direction in that, but I think there's also a few light bulbs out there that I need to find yet.
As a creative, has the business side of business, have you ever felt like that's taken you away from designing and engineering and doing that side? Have you ever missed that, I suppose?
Yeah. I've done every job in the business. Mm-hmm. So I've welded. I've been the stitcher. I've been the woodworker. I've been at the salesperson. So every part of that business I've done. I've been the accountant. I've been the payroll clerk. So the bit I enjoy most is the working with the kids and the designing solutions. And I thought I was the best one at doing that, but I'm not. I'm good as part of a team, and for a long time I thought I had all the best ideas. Unfortunately, I don't. Or fortunately, I don't, because we've got some phenomenal designers in there. Great people. And whereas there's a few projects I'm very close to, and I'm very clear where I want them to go. They're far better getting them there than me. So I'm stepping back from the front face, the design side. We bought a few new toys, a few new machines, tube lasers and robotic welders and things like that. So I'm in the background playing with CAD doing that because I like doing that. It's like Space Invaders for nerds. But it's, so I'm doing that as something. But really that was that's over the last 6 months. And I'm probably in wind down mode, moving from CEO to chairman. And I was trying to find, where am I going next? And I think it's external more than internal. So getting it under the bonnet and saying, right, what's going on out here?
Talk to me about compassion and leadership, as open-ended as that is.
Well, in our industry, that's easy because we're our company is seen as a leader in our industry, and you have to be compassionate. It's absolutely essential. I think you don't have to be compassionate. You can be a ruthless leader. Yeah. That's a choice. But I think in business today, to be successful and to win the hearts and minds and bring the team with you, which is critical, trust. Put trust in there, and compassionate. I think delivering and having difficult conversations. Difficult conversations are difficult, and that's why they're called difficult conversations. And it's either difficult, and it will be difficult to deliver some of the and challenge people and challenge what they're getting on. Where they are in this old triangle thing between victim and persecutor and rescuer. But to work with the people and try and make sure that they're aligned to where the company's going, and they see that, and that's really important. I think we need to know where they are and what motivates them. But when they come through the gates, they're signing up to our values, our guiding principles, and achieving our goals. That's what the deal is.
Yeah.
And I think if they're not, then we need to make sure that we put them off the bus, or take them off the bus very carefully and compassionately, and we need to get better at doing that. I think I was in a course one time when the expression confront, improve, or remove was used, and I would say it's probably engage, improve, or remove. But that's an essential component for everybody. I was fascinated. I was listening to the radio yesterday, and we've got some difficult news up for Ballymena with the right bus situation. But some of the people speaking really found that for some of the people, and it might be a small amount of them, but it gave them the nudge they needed to go out and fulfill themselves properly. And you could easily find yourself in a situation, a comfort zone, that you're not going to leave unless somebody gives you a kick. And we do find that, and if somebody's not fitting in, it's not the right place for them, then it's not good for them either. It's not good for them, their self-esteem, and they need to move on. And it's that, and I've spoken to ex-employees who that situation did occur to, and they thought it was the best thing ever happened to me.
Wow.
And that happens in a high percentage of the time. So it's getting the managers and the team to be aligned with our values and to make those approaches and have those difficult conversations with compassion and be comfortable doing that is a really important part of leadership and a really important part of management.
What's the most recent nudge out of your own comfort zone?
Mine? I think I'm experiencing it right now. I don't mean in this interview.
I was going to say being grilled.
No, I'm on my favourite subject right now, me. So
I have an easy job, James.
I think this change has definitely challenged me, and I'm trying to find the new place where I'm going to add value. Because when I started this business, I was a bit lost. I was a bit wayward, and I had very low self-esteem. And this business validates me. It gives me who I am. It has done for 40 years now. So stepping back out of that is a difficult and challenging thing to do. You know, I feel important and I feel valued by being what I am at work and playing that leadership role. So stepping out, I mean, Ben, God bless him, but the first thing he said to me is, "And I want your office."
Great.
Bastard. Anyway, but he was right. Yeah, for him to take on that mantle, he needs to, because they'll come to my knock my door. So I have to stay away. And other things. I told you that just trying new things. I've never been sailing before, and believe it or not, my two brothers and I have never been on holiday before, because there was an age difference between one of my brothers and I. And so last week, an old school friend of mine, Clifford Webb, and my brother Alan and my brother Richard took ourselves off to the Greek islands on a catamaran and sailed around for a week. And there was no fighting. It was absolute dolphins. And it's just incredible. Just incredible what happened. So that was a great experience. Not that I'm buying a boat or doing like that, but it was just, so yeah, that to do that, those things are different and so on. I get married again 3 years ago. So that's been great. And that's been, Jane's fantastic. So we've, Jane's retired at the same, well, she's retired. She's going to non-exec director. So it's just given up her operational post. And which she was brilliant at. She was absolutely brilliant at. And I've undecided as if I'm retiring or stepping back. So that us going through that phase together is a bit scary. Just what we're going to do. But she's got many other opportunities. She loves yoga, and she has a yoga studio, and she's actively looking forward to doing something in that area as well. Cool. Yoga Farm. I'll put a promo in for it.
Do you still have a workshop?
Yes.
At home?
Man shed was built.
Still tinkering?
2.5 years ago we built a man shed, yeah. So I'm still actively involved obviously in work, and I can go in and use CAD with laser cutters and toys there. My brother and I built a workshop, and we bought a tractor and a digger and all sorts of stuff, and we tinker at them and dig the ground, and they really literally do move soil from here to there and then back again. It's just for the fun of it. And he arrived home about 2 months ago with these lawnmowers that he picked up on a building site that weren't working, and we stripped them down and got them going. And
nice.
Yeah, they're one of them's like the one you would find on a golf course. And we've nowhere that we need to cut the grass that way. so the fun was restoring it and bringing it back to new. And it's fantastic. It just sits in the corner now. We don't know what to do with it, but it's brilliant.
Yeah. I'm going to hit you with some really hard questions.
Go for it.
These are how we land the plane. So stock questions. These are things we ask every single guest. Okay. First one. What is the most successful moment of your life been?
Whoa.
Yeah. I did warn you.
Bloody hell. I have 3 kids, them being born. Meeting Jane. I was the innovation founder a couple of years ago. I think that was public recognition of the role that I played. I thought it was, blown away by that one. God, I'm sure I'm missing half a dozen there. But great moments. I think in business, launching the Upsy was a phenomenal experience. Launching Firefly was great, but we met. I met a parent from Israel called Debbie Al-Natan, and she developed this walking device for her son and Rotem, and did it way back when I met her first in 2001. It wasn't the right time for us to do anything. Again, 2007, but we met in 2010. We started talking seriously this time, and the internet was well enough developed, and e-commerce was. And we'd looked at how could we do this. We couldn't do it through our current distribution channel, and in our industry, if we a big selling product would be something you'd sell maybe 1,500 of a year. That's quite large, and of one specific product. And when we saw the Upsy, we saw this, at the price of £250,
wow,
could make such a difference to children's lives. It hits social inclusion, it hits migration, it just works with all the things we're trying to achieve, and it works for the parents, and it's low cost. And it was like a kind of a Disney type feeling we got around that, just this magical experience. And we've had when it was launched, we had videos go viral. There was one went viral in a market we don't sell in,
wow,
in a country we don't sell in, Brazil, and it got 30 million hits over one weekend. It was but it's the social experience of a child walking for the first time and interacting with his brothers and sisters and family. It's just incredible. So when we launched it in April the 7th, 2014, we didn't know whether to stock up with 1,500 a year stock or not, and I decided we'll stock 2,500 and we'll do it. And they sold in the first night. Yeah, it was just phenomenal.
Wow.
It was just incredible. We did a bit of good PR. The guy, Conor McKernan, who was in Firefly at the time, he had his phone set up to ding every time a sale went through. And when we launched it, it went ding, ding, ding. And I thought, it must be great. And then we realised 57,000 people were on trying to look at it at the same time.
My goodness.
And that never happens in our industry. It just showed us the power of community. There's Firefly stories. There's Firefly stories where kids and parents and so on, we turned off markets and turned markets on, and then his phone went ding, 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 ding. There was another one where we were trying to, we'd worked with a charity in England called Cerebra, and they'd brought out a small seating system that fitted into a supermarket trolley. And we wanted to develop that product for them and take it on. So we did, and we brought it to market, but we were trying to get the supermarkets to take it on and sell them nationwide. So put it into all their stores. And we tried Tesco's and Sainsbury's in the different stores, and there was an interest, but not enough to make a sale.
Yeah.
People will know who work in that market. It's difficult to get into, it's difficult to do it. So we went then to the supermarket trolley manufacturers and asked them, and we went to a German company called Vonsel, really big established world leader in that industry, and they said, no, you need the supermarkets to pick up on this. So we put her out to the community, and the community came back. We had bloggers who were working for us, and working for the community. There was no money involved, but they one of them, Stacey Lewis, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. She had leukemia, but she went into a supermarket in the north of London and asked them to get one of our seats for their supermarket, and they wrote back and said, we're not going to do that. So her and her daughter May, who was severely disabled, were in the front page of the Mail and the Telegraph the following Monday. And by the weekend, our community had been out, and Sainsbury's were on saying, what can we do?
Wow.
And from there it grew. I have to say the community were out pushing hard. We put a PDF out, they all printed it out and went into all the supermarkets in the UK and pushed them hard. 2,500
It's like a revolution.
It was. It's the power of social media. It's the power of that, and the power of the community actively going out there and doing something then. Because that's like a free sales force out there promoting what's in their interest and our interest as well. So it was really, really powerful. So now Tesco's and all the stores have them. And we're talking to Walmart and some of the American chain stores have already picked up and have it stocked as well, mostly in the Eastern Seaboard. But some of the bigger supermarkets, IKEA, and people like that are talking to them about, let's put this globally, So it just means the parents don't have to push a wheelchair and a supermarket trolley at the same time in a store. That's just nice.
Class.
Yeah, class.
Complete gear shift.
Okay.
Completely opposite. Mm-hmm. Most challenging moment. And how you were able to overcome it.
I think that's really, really interesting. I think there can be moments that really challenge you. Maybe you don't know what to do. But I read an article, funny enough, coming back from that trip, and I'm trying to think of a story that connects to it, and it's how you deal with your biggest failure.
What is it?
Yeah. And we have an expression in work. I can't remember who the expression comes from, but it's win or learn. And if you fail, don't call it failure. What's the learning you can take from that? And therefore, that puts a positive on it. And it's how to come through adversity and make that into a positive experience. Now, to fail, to learn from a failure is not acceptable. Okay, so make that point clear. But I'm looking for. There's been big experiences where we've got it wrong. And I think the ones that would affect me most where we've got it wrong with people, that where it's had an impact on them. And it's how you work with them and how you, what happens then. So I'm trying to think of, there's none coming to mind, but that would be my biggest concern is that if you got something wrong with a person, you made a mistake. But I can't think of any right now.
Yeah. So in the face of really making a blunder with somebody.
Yeah.
How do you move forward from that?
Front it up.
Yeah.
Front it up. Made a mistake. How do we fix this? How do we put it right? Depending where you are, just every time. I'll credit my good wife Jane with that. Most courageous person I know in terms of fronting things up or and fronting people up for their bullshit as well. So their own stories as well. So and I've learned an awful lot from her, both in business and personally. In that area, just not letting people tell themselves all those own stories. And you get into victim mode, you do all this stuff. No, you're complicit. You're part of that. It's your choice. Don't do that. So I think if we make a mistake.
Earlier, you said something, and I wanted to double down on it, but I didn't feel like it was the right time.
Okay.
You said something like rescuer.
Oh, the triangle.
Victim. Can you tell me that triangle? Because that really intrigued me.
Okay, that's the drama triangle.
Okay.
And that's just psychology, and that's as much value in terms of...
So what is the triangle?
Okay, the drama triangle, and you put the point at the top, you can put the point at the bottom, but it's basically you will move from victim to either rescuer or to persecutor. And you will spend your time bouncing back and forward in there when you're in a drama. Someone's done something to me. I'm a victim here. I'm going to get them, or I'm going to rescue the situation.
Wow.
Someone else is a victim. I'm going to rescue them. That's the drama triangle, and that's predominantly child mode.
Huh.
You're not in adult. Okay, so
you stole my toys.
Yeah, you go. So we all spend our time in there. I'm not saying just because I read a book I'm not in there. Of course I am a lot of the time. But I think when you can recognize where you are in that triangle, and if you can get yourself the hell out of it, then that works a lot. And if you can get other people doing the same thing, and they move at their own pace and take their own time, that's really, really, really helpful.
So you're in the triangle. What's your fastest way out?
I think typically you'll jump in at victim and then decide what you're going to do with that. There's a great book. I don't remember what it is.
In the dark, deep recesses of your mind.
I'm trying to remember what the title of the book. But anyway, connected to this, and it's difficult conversations, and you will go when you're stressed and being in a victim or under pressure, whatever the situation, you'll behave in a typical way. There'll be triggers. You'll feel your gills go. You'll hate. Things will happen. You'll get tense. Something will happen, and those are the things you have to become aware of. And when those are happening, get real to your own, because first thing you'll do is that you'll fly back to the last reaction you had that was successful, which may be totally appropriate.
Interesting.
And you lump this on this one, and away you go. And that'll help you choose the direction you go in, or it'll steer you in that direction, which maybe is totally inappropriate. I think to get out of that, which with Jane's support, and so I'm much better at doing that. Like Jane goes into victim and all the rest of it. That victim, that drama triangle, it's core to an awful lot of psychology. It's well proven, well researched, and so on. That's good. I was reading an article on the way back as well from the holiday and so on, and it was Flyby, and it was in one of their magazines. It was great, and it was just about dealing with adversity. And I think if you're in that triangle, it's very hard to get out of it because you're telling you almost lock yourself in there, because the victim mentality. It's really so disabling at times. So get away from that. You've always got choices. You're here because of that, and you're probably more responsible than anybody else where you are. Yeah, but certainly that. So having the maturity to have an adult conversation. So, and if you're in that mode with somebody, you're having child conversations. It's not adult. Yeah. Unfortunately, it is. Unfortunately, you're having blame or whatever conversations. Yeah. You're trying to fix them, or you're trying to beat them up or whatever. So, yeah, it's not good.
Cool. 2 more.
Okay.
If you could take anyone from Northern Ireland out for coffee or out for a pint.
Oh, good grief.
Dead or alive. Who would you take? Where would you take them? And why? I always go slow in this bit. I always go slow this bit because people need a wee bit of thinking time. So I'm like...
Apart from my dad and his brother, Uncle Walter, 2 heroes of mine. Oh yeah, I need a bit of thinking time for that one.
You can park there if you want.
Yeah, I mean, my father, I really respect my father for his, he had a history of, which I'll not go into, but it was a difficult childhood, and yet he came through that and opened up a business and became successful. Wow! And the challenges he had as a child would have left me felt that he would be quite reasonably bigoted, and he was never bigoted in his life, and. He was very 50-50 and very fair, and ingrained that in me and our family and so on. So that, I think that's something that through the troubles and everything else, it was very important to him that we never carried any sidedness or whatever, So that was, he would be very important. And from another point of view, from my uncle, from a sporting personality type, a fantastic character, but he was a speedboat racer, and we just used to go and watch him race, and he always won. Yeah, and he was just a hero. He could just pass everybody else, and he won cleanly. He didn't do anything wrong, but he unfortunately lost his leg by the propeller in a race one day. Yeah, he lasted 2 years, but then he died of kidney failure. But anybody was a fantastic character.
Cool. Final question, James. If we could turn this recording studio into some sort of a time machine and go back to the 18-year-old version of yourself. Yeah. Actually, you know what? We've been here a lot. We're back at the flower shop. Okay? My favourite place for some reason in this conversation. Right. You walk through the door of the flower shop and you see young James there. Yeah. You have a couple of minutes just to grab him and say something to him. Okay, great. What a dirty thing to do. I'm not sure if he would have listened to what I would say to him anyway. How would I steer him? What would you say to him? You got a couple of minutes of his time. Yeah. I think I'd give him the values. Give him the values early on. I'd give him those integrity, and I think stepping up as a young person and taking on your own business and managing people in particular and taking all of their stuff as well, trying to be liked, trying to be the leader and all that stuff. It can take you away from just straight talking and being direct. And I think, just being absolutely straight with people all the time is really, really, really important. Yeah, I want people to straight with me. I don't want people hiding stuff from me. I want to know the truth the whole time. Why wouldn't you? So treat people exactly the same way, and that's So that'd be the thing I'd say to him, and that's like those circles and getting lost a wee bit and stuff like that. Yeah, you go. I remember there was a psychological test, psychology test you could do, and it was for employment or recruitment or something, and it was I'll not use the name in case I get it wrong, but it was. It was basically measuring who you were and who you wanted to be, or who you were trying to be. And what they found was the greater the distance between the two, the greater stress you carried. In other words, who you were playing out to be and who you actually were in your core. So I think when you move away from centre,
which must be very difficult for people in the limelight, you know, because they're trying to be something that's appealing to their audience rather than who they just currently are. So I think that's where stress and so, yeah, avoid that. Stay true to yourself. Stay core, because you're good enough.
Amazing. James, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure. It's been fun talking about me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity.